In this episode of CMSD News, Field of Dreams, the John Adams community celebrates the brand new turf athletic field at the high school donated by the Cleveland Browns. And number 200, legendary Glenville High School football head coach Ted Ginn Sr. gets his 200th win with the Tarblooders. Hear from him and former players about the team's success. Also, let's hear it for the home teams, how the Cleveland Cavaliers and Cleveland Indians surprised CMSD students with some of the hottest tickets in town. Plus, CEO Q&A. We sit down with District CEO Eric Gordon to discuss CMSD's report card, the state of the schools, and why CMSD was in the national spotlight. Hello everyone, I'm Shannon Kantner and you're watching CMSD TV, bringing you the latest news out of the Cleveland Metropolitan School District. The John Adams Mighty Rebels haven't had a real home game in at least a decade because they haven't had a field to call their own until now. The Cleveland Browns donated and installed a brand new turf athletic field at John Adams. It's the 5th field they've built around the district since last year. I was there for the groundbreaking ceremony back in May and now for the official dedication ceremony. Hear what this means to the community and why it's about so much more than football.
Got all my friends, all my whole team, my whole family here. I'm feeling real good. We can play at our field.
This has been a day 10 years in the making since we built the new John Adams High School but forgot to put in a field.
Number 5 fields donated by Dee and Jimmy Haslam and the Cleveland Browns. This one's particularly important because this school, John Adams High School, hasn't had a football field for over a decade. So a really big win for the community, a really big win for the kids here at John Adams, and a really big win for the district. A great day.
It means the whole world to me because, every time, it is kind of irritating playing our home games at other fields. Like, we gotta go to other fields, like we gotta play at Collinwood, we gotta play at South. Now we get to play in our own backyard, like that's incredible.
There's already a huge sense of pride that comes with this, right? This is our home. We now have pride in something that's ours, And to be able to give that to them and to have the Browns organization so supportive of both our athletes and knowing that their success on the field contributes to their success in the classroom, we couldn't be prouder of that partnership. So we're excited. We're excited to be able to have our community come back here. I've always said that the football field and football stands in the school is the heart of the community, and for a while we've been without that. So we're really excited to have that here and to be able to welcome these Rebel fans home.
I'm excited for the students. I'm excited for the teachers. I'm excited for the administrators, but I'm mostly excited for the residents. The residents have been wanting this and looking forward to this for so long, and to see the smiles on their faces today. They can actually have a home game right here, to see that new scoreboard and see the John Adams name on the scoreboard. It's a very exciting time for us here, right here in the Union Miles Ward 2 neighborhood.
It's a community that really understands that when you invest in the things that kids are doing on the playing fields, that's actually investing in better reading, better math scores, and that's where we get success. It's also a community field. It's going to be open to the entire neighborhood, and it's a classroom. Kids are going to come outside from physical education and be on this field.
I can't remember the last time I walked on a high school field, so it definitely brings back some memories. And just see the smile on these kids' faces, it's the best thing. It's the most important thing. And it just goes to show you that group of people coming together just to support the community. That's what it's all about. And I just feel, privileged to be out here and just be around just such beautiful people. I look at the football field as an opportunity, but in order to get the opportunity, you got to, be smart in the classroom. That's got to be a first and foremost thing. I always just try to tell kids that, if you want to go far, it starts in the classroom.
This is real cool. I'm real proud. I can't wait till our next game.
And we hit the field like, all day like, and it sound like, and it hit like, and we rebels like, and we rebels like, rebels on 3, 1, 2, 3, rebels!
To show their appreciation, the Rebels gave Dee Haslam a signed football with the student athletes and staff signatures covering it. This marked the final dedication ceremony of the 5 fields donated by the Browns. John Adams and John Marshall High School were finished this fall, while Roy Kidd Stadium, Rhodes Stadium, and Bump Taylor Stadium were renovated last year. Bump Taylor is home to the Glenville Tarblooders, coached by Ted Ginn Sr., who just registered his 200th victory. That puts him in an elite group of Ohio high school football coaches, but he says it's the wins off the field that really matter. Hear what it means to him to be the coach and why his student athletes strive to be a part of his team on and off the field.
I've been in Cleveland for 40 years in coaching, and you know, to be able to represent our school system and our community and the city, you know, that's big time. You know, we're not representing Glenville, we're representing Cleveland, just representing where we come from. You know, and that's what I tell the kids all the time. Every time you step out, is somebody looking at you that want to be like you, and we're the example for the whole city.
It means a lot to me, you know. This is my dream to become a number one quarterback. This team have a lot of courage, a lot of heart, you know, belief, and just never give up on your dreams. You got to be a leader in the classroom as well on the field. So everything you give your heart on the football field, you got to give your heart on in class.
It's amazing, you know. I've always dreamed of playing here since I was a little kid, and now I finally get the opportunity to. There's nothing like it. When you come on this team, it's not just about football. It's about, you know, first of all, being a team and becoming a man, knowing and connecting football to life, the real situations, because it's real out here. For us to be able to go out here and have the whole city, the whole area, you know, on our back and just carrying it and making them proud, it's a great thing. You got to know what you represent. When you put your helmet on, you go out on the field. You know, just look out for us. We're coming. Top players are coming.
Ginn also served as the head coach for Glenville Track, leading the team to 6 state championships. He was inducted into the Greater Cleveland Sports Hall of Fame in 2013. A Max Hayes student was honored and very surprised by the Cleveland Cavaliers recently. 10th grader Jewel Scherer is a straight A student, a role model in the classroom and in the community, and now she's October's All-Star Kid for the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cavs hype man Ahmad Crump, the Cavs Scream Team, and Jewel's parents surprised her in her class to present her with the award. See her reaction when she learned she was being honored and hear why she definitely deserves this title.
Parents, come through the door, please. Oh! Jewel Scherer.
I was shocked because I didn't know it was going to be me.
We heard some awesome things about you. We heard that you are a straight A student and you are a role model in the classroom. You're just a great person to be around, and you're just a role model, and you're good for the community here. So on behalf of the Cleveland Cavaliers, we want to say congratulations. Keep up the good work. You are this month's All-Star Kids.
I do stay on my schoolwork. I make sure everything is done. I make sure that I maintain my grades, like A's, what I want. I don't like B's either. And I just try to be like a good role model for other people.
She definitely deserves it. She's a wonderful kid, wonderful student, straight A's, never misses school, loves the Cavs, diehard Cavs fan, love her to death, wouldn't change her for the world.
I'm excited to go to the game because I love the Cavaliers. They're my favorite sports team, and I watched every game, so I was happy about that. And I was happy with the fact that I was picked to be honored in a big way, and it shows that my work is being noticed. Like, what I do isn't going unnoticed, and that I am being supported by a lot of people, so I should continue what I'm doing and try to get others to do the same thing.
So one more time, everybody, a loud round of applause. Give it up for your class.
In addition to that giant ticket, Jewel received 4 real tickets to the Cavs game on October 29th with access to the VIP club. She'll also be honored on the court prior to tip-off, and it doesn't end there. Her whole class gets a pizza party too. All-Star kids must have solid academics, a positive attitude, good behavior, and be involved in their community. The Cavs select one each month, so get your nominations in for more CMSD students. She wasn't the only one getting the surprise of a lifetime from a Cleveland team, though. As the playoffs began, the Indians surprised the baseball and softball teams and JROTC students at Rhodes High School with tickets to Game 1 of the ALDS, and the surprises didn't end there. Tickets were hand-delivered by none other than Slider the mascot and Indians outfielder Greg Allen. See the students' reaction and hear what it meant to them.
definitely just feel very, very, very honored to have the opportunity to be down here and just to hang out with these kids for a little while. You can see the smiles on their faces, the energy that they have. I was definitely taking a whole lot of selfies.
Thank you.
I was watching their faces the whole time, and it was just so cool when they announced about us going to the game. The kids kind of went from anticipation to like their eyes just lit up and their mouths dropped open. Because every year that we do the flag, they're always like, oh man, I wish we could stay. So for them to be able to experience this and go to the game, it was priceless to watch their faces.
They were holding the tickets and I was confused at first. They're like, you guys are going to the game. And I was, okay.
I go to a lot of the games, but I've never been to a playoff game, so I'm excited about that one.
There's absolutely nothing like a playoff game. I did have the opportunity to go last year for one World Series games with the Cubs, and just the whole excitement in the downtown area, the thrill of the fans and having a winning team, there's no feeling like it, and I'm so excited that the kids are going to experience that because that's a once-in-a-lifetime chance that some of these kids are going to get.
It means a lot, especially because I love baseball. I love the Indians. I've loved them since I was little. It means a lot that they're doing this for us.
We're the Rhodes Rams. It's like we're all family. And giving Greg Allen the Rams shirt is just like he's contributing to the family, so that's probably the best moment I've had.
I know the baseball team was able to win the Senate League Championship. Even from just being around them just for a little while, you can tell it's a great group of kids. So I really feel like the honored one for sure.
30 students attended that game, and even though the season has ended for the Indians, they did get to see a big Indians win that night. From Progressive Field to progress in Cleveland schools. Let's turn now to our exclusive interview with District CEO Eric Gordon. Hello everyone, I'm Shannon Kantner and you're watching a special CMSD TV program, Talk to the CEO, featuring District CEO Eric Gordon. We're here in the studio with him for a Q&A discussing district news and updates. In today's episode, we'll talk about the district's state report card, the annual State of the Schools address, and the national conference CMSD hosted for the Council of the Great City Schools. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Absolutely, great to see you.
You too. A lot has happened since the last time we were able to sit down here. A new report card is out. You delivered the State of the Schools address, and CMSD hosted a national conference that drew more than 1,000 educators to Cleveland. So let's take a moment to talk about all of those in that order, if you don't mind.
Sure.
All right, first up, the district's letter grade on the state report card does not show the full picture. What signs of progress did we see, and who were some of the noteworthy performers?
Yeah, so what I've said is, like, we didn't need the report card to tell us that we're not yet meeting Ohio's new high learning standards. We have a long way to go to get to those standards. But what it did show us is really substantial gain in three core areas. First of all, our graduation rate continues to go up. It is now 72%, and that is another record high for the district. And that's up from 52% just 6 years ago, so it closed in a 20-point gap. We also, when we look at the K through 3 literacy measure, jumped from an F to a C, and more than doubled the number of kids who were off track that got moved to on track in reading, with 80% of our third graders then promoting to fourth grade under Ohio's reading guarantee program. And then in the middle, the 4th through 8th graders, that is measured by a score called the Performance Index, and we saw a 4-point gain there, and we are just below the D rating in that measure too. And so, continued progress there will really help us to continue to accelerate. Really exciting is that we saw all kinds of schools that were seeing gains, and so we saw typical schools like Paul Dunbar School and Euclid Park and schools that have not typically been the ones that we would see at Clark on the west side. We also saw some of our new and innovative models working. We saw some of our academies moving. Our investment schools, particularly Glenville and East Tech, saw great graduation rates. And so it's exciting to see the growth across our portfolio instead of any one portion of it being the only place we're seeing growth. It's got a lot of good news in it. Long way to go, but a lot of good news.
You took me to my next question, which is, even though we can talk about all this progress, you've also said that the report card results underscore the fact that we are not where we want to be yet, and point the way to strategy for this year and beyond. So what lessons did we learn, and where do we go from here? And could you also talk about what people might see immediately, and then also what will come longer term?
Yeah, what you see now is that we know how to move K through 3 literacy, and I expect we'll continue to accelerate that, both the C letter grade we have and the third grade reading guarantee, where kids have to read before they promote to fourth grade. We know how to move the high school graduation rate. We've done it year after year after year, and I expect we're going to see continued growth there. The middle was always the hardest part, and in part it's because the state's changed the test 3 times in 3 years. But now we've had the same test for 2 years in a row. We can really analyze that. We can really bear down in that middle, and there's a couple of things we need to do. One is really focus on growing kids from last year's performance to this year's performance. So looking at, if I was limited last year, can I get to basic? If I was proficient last year, can I get to advanced? Can I get to accelerated? And so looking from last spring to this spring instead of this fall to this spring. And then the other is, what is that summer experience programming so that we don't have learning loss? We have programming for K through 3 literacy. We have summer programming for high school graduation. We don't yet have high school programming for middle grades, and so we'll be looking at that this year too.
Excellent. Not long after the release of the report card, you delivered the annual State of the Schools address. The address updated the community on district progress, but also served as sort of a rallying cry, if you will. What message did you convey there?
Well, my message was that Cleveland has the bold goal of ensuring every child has a quality education and that every neighborhood has a number of quality schools to choose from. And so while I just did share that there's lots of islands of excellence, things that are happening that are really positive, it's not being done universally. I also point out that actually there isn't a city in America who has done it universally. And so we have the awesome responsibility of being the first. And I introduced a strategy that we're aggressively pursuing called Say Yes to Education, which is, how do you clear the barriers out of the way that our kids face living in one of the poorest cities in the country, so that we can really dig into this education and accelerate it as quickly as possible. And so Say Yes is our community wraparound program, only at scale for an entire city, with a last dollar scholarship for kids once they graduate high school. And so how do we use that catalytic space to allow us to really work hard on moving the agenda, continuing to move the agenda on our academics?
Speaking of Say Yes to Education, what's the status of CMSD's quest to become a chapter of this national organization? And are there any developments you can tell us about as we speak?
Well, so it's moving. You know, this is a lot of work we have to put in together as a community, but we now have a group called the Community Planning Committee that meets every other week and is shepherding the work on the behalf of the district. We have a communications task force that has launched a new web page, which is CLEPath2SayYes. That's the number 2.org, where the community can keep up and see what's happening, see who these members are. We have a group that has been really digging into what would the scholarship criteria be when they're, when that's in place. We have some philanthropy that have been thinking about what is their funding going to look like in this space and how do we work better together. So there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff working. And I think you're going to start seeing more and more as we go into winter and certainly into spring. Our goal is in the next 12 to 15 months, we are a Say Yes city.
We hope so. A lot of momentum, it sounds like. Exciting things
really
happening.
Exciting.
Good. Another exciting thing, of course, from October 18th through the 22nd, CMSD hosted the Council of the Great City Schools annual fall conference and had a chance to showcase its work to urban superintendents, board members, and other leaders from across the country. Talk to us about how the district did as a host. You can brag a little if you'd like, and what we shared with our guests about the work going on under the Cleveland Plan.
Well, so the council is, in my opinion, the single strongest professional development in K-12 education, particularly for urban educators. It is led by the 70 largest urban districts in the country, Cleveland being one of those, and it is our professional organization. Cleveland hadn't hosted the conference in decades, and so we were super excited to win the bid 2 years ago. We've been waiting on this, to be the host city. The conference turned out to be very well attended, the second highest in conference history, with over 1,100 educators in attendance. And I have to say, our local planning team just did an amazing job. And Cleveland just shined. Unfortunately, a number of people came to Cleveland with kind of a old-fashioned point of view and didn't have very high expectations of us. Not only did we meet those expectations, but we far exceeded those expectations, and to the person we heard about just what a great time people had, how well they were treated, not just in our hotel with the Hilton that did a great job, but in their taxis and their Ubers and their Lyfts, when they were at restaurants or at venues. We went to Pickwick and Frolic, we went to the History Center, Case Western Reserve History Center, we went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. There were probably 10 different piggyback conferences, smaller conferences going on around the city. And so it really was a time for Cleveland to shine, and shine we did. As far as our content, we always encourage my professional staff to submit on the work they're doing. It is a juried selection process, and we had 18 out of 22 presentations accepted, and so that's really a high bar. And so we talked about student voice in our student advisory committee. We talked about growing the CEO and his team. We talked about our talent work and partnerships with Cleveland State to get the best teachers into Cleveland and to retain them. We talked about our portfolio planning process. We talked about new school models like our Lincoln West Global Studies model. It really was taking the work we're doing, sharing it with our peers, and getting feedback from them. And like I said, some of the best professional learning that I know of in our industry.
And we talk all about the presentations with educators, but CMSD students shined at the conference as well.
Yes, so CMSD students shined in a number of ways. I had students on my panel with me for Student Voice, and of course they stole the show. Students created all of the artwork that was on the luncheon tables, the breakfast tables, the dinner tables, and we had different art pieces every single day. Student performers performed dance, spoken word, band, orchestra, choral selections throughout the entire program. And then on the last day, Van Jones, the CNN moderator, moderated a town hall on equity, and we had a student from Lincoln West High School of Global Studies, a student from New Tech East at East Tech, and a parent of 3 CMSD students, 2 students and a graduate, serve on the panel with Van Jones, and of course again stole the show.
It was pretty cool, and I had a lot of people tell us, of course we were there at the conference, and we had a lot of people tell us, even though they saw Bill Gates, Rosario Dawson, Van Jones, the highlight of the conference, I think, to a lot of people were the CMSD students, which is pretty neat.
I think they got it just right.
Yeah, I agree. All right, well, it's hard to believe, especially given all these other exciting events that have been going on. Time kind of flew by. We've already completed the first grading period of the 2017-2018 school year. What trends have you noticed? What can we expect to see the remainder of the year?
Well, it's really clear to me that we've had a great start to the school year. Kids, families, and educators are all really hard at work on these report cards, and I would encourage every parent to look at those grades, set some goals for that next interim report that's going to be here before you know it. Make sure that you're talking with your student scholar and with your educators so that you know how our students are going to get to those grades. Connect it back to our larger report card. What is the growth that you're going to see in this next 5 weeks to the interim and the next 9 weeks to the end of the fall semester? But I'm pleased with what I'm seeing. I can tell that our kids are working hard, I can tell that our families are engaged, and I can tell that our educators are working hard as well.
Can't ask for more than that.
That's right.
Anything else you'd like to share with the community, students, staff?
Well, just again, the conference got an opportunity for 1,100 educators from 70 cities across the country to see what I really know all the time, just what a great organization this is and great community this is. And it was really humbling and a source of pride to get to show off Cleveland for all it's worth, and can't do that without great kids, families, and community.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here to talk about it and share those experiences with us.
Absolutely.
We, of course, look forward to the next episode.
That's right.
All right. If you have a question for the CEO, you can visit clevelandmetroschools.org/CEO questions to submit your own. It's a simple form, and you can remain anonymous. You might just see it on the next episode. In the meantime, you can follow the CEO on Twitter at Eric Gordon CEO. Thanks for watching Talk to the CEO, and for more CMSD TV programming, visit the CMSD News Bureau website at clevelandmetroschools.org/news. We'll see you next time. That's all the time we have. Thanks so much for tuning in, and to watch this show and all of our other programming, you can visit the CMSD News Bureau at clevelandmetroschools.org/news or catch us streaming online 24 hours a day at clevelandmetroschools.org/CMSD TV. We'll see you next time.